Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. Only one show has the guts to stream reading a retro video game magazine live on Twitch. Let's go back to November 1982.
They should have watched our show.
Yeah, you should have watched our show. Tonight, we're going to be checking out Softline magazine. This is the November issue. Let's check out and see what's going on in Softline magazine. All right. We've been reading every issue of Softline magazine up to this point since they started. This is mostly an Apple II system or Apple II magazine, but this magazine also covers a couple other home computers. It was I believe funded or promoted by Ken and Roberta Williams of Sierra Online, so that's legit enough for me. All right, so here we go. Softline, November 1982. Remember that feeling you got when you got a magazine that you really enjoyed in the mail and you get a chance to read it? I actually don't get those feels yet. We are going to see electronic games, and I got even more of a soft spot for that. But Softline still has some really good stuff. It even has some technical information, a few jargon code that you can work with. I know they give you some help on some of these computers too. So this is arcade gaming, friend or foe. Well, right now she's got all these distractions. What is that? I got a Pac-Man there, Lunar Leaper, one of the ghosts. What shooter is that in the background? Is that Sneakers that's going on? I can almost make it out. It's a reconstructed one. It's not like the actual screenshot of it. But she looks like she's doing okay. She's focusing with all those characters in the way. Yeah, looks good. All right, let's crack it open and smell November 1982. So over here on the left side, we got an ad by Penguin Software. It has a few games on it, and this makes me think that we have seen or should have seen Spy's Demise already. Oh, yes. Ken and Roberta, yeah, definitely. Oh, you mean they started it back up now? Or Ken and Roberta Williams from then? Because they're really hot right now, November 1982. So we got an ad for Spy's Demise, which we haven't seen on the show. If we get through the whole magazine for tonight, we actually are going to check out and play that one tonight. So hopefully the time will work on our side. And then we have Transylvania at the bottom and Pie Man. And the reason I say we maybe should have seen Spy's Demise is because it's at the top. Like they released Spy's Demise first and then Pie Man and then Transylvania, but I don't really know for sure. Oh, really? Just recently? That's awesome, Errol. All right, so Pie Man, if you don't remember that one, Pie Man was kind of like the very first time we saw a video game that you were playing as a chef and you're running around in the kitchen, and it's still arcade-style gameplay, but it's one of the very first video games that has you in this setting. Look at that. They have a very large character that's on the screen. This was on the Apple II when we originally saw it, and I'm just giving you some footage to see what it's like. You are running around as a chef, just delivering orders. So it's just you just go pick up whatever food it is, put it on the tray, and it almost feels like an episode of I Love Lucy rather than a video game. But our arcade style, and it works. It's really fun. It reminds me of the kind of thing of doing occupations for video games, like we're going to see later with Tapper, things like that. No, they shouldn't have. That would have been really fun. All right, so yeah, Pie Man it was pretty good. It was around average for all the games you could play. Over here on the right side, there's our table of contents. We are not going to go over that one because essentially we're going to be seeing everything in the magazine tonight. All right, let's flip on. Keep going. I really liked when I discovered Softline much later than when the publication came out, because it's really good info on the Apple II and what it was like having that computer, or just microcomputers at the time in North America. Yeah, I'd love to know, what is the origin story, Manly? So over here on the direct line, this is people writing into the magazine. A few tricks on getting a high score for Star Raiders on Atari, really nice. I have some questions about how do I move between levels in Horizon 5, another grid shooter. Anyone know the qualifications for making a ninja in Wizardry? That's awesome. Oh, that's true. The only way you can play Wizardry right now is on the Apple II. And it's huge. One of the Softline magazine's covers was Wizardry. Yeah, lots of fun things that people written in. I had the game Adventure by Microsoft. 4 months I couldn't get past a certain part. All the treasures in the treasure vault. The cave closed on me and I'm stuck in this immense room. But he needs a hint. He wants help. Someone please help me. This is how you got help for your games, because you would write into magazines if you get stuck in adventure games. Oh man. We just live in a time where we have all the answers for adventure games. And then I just wanted to highlight a few of the ads in the magazine too. You can see there's an ad for Kabul Spy, another spy game. Adventure, I think it's the text adventure with some graphics that we had. But I'll point out some of the ads for Apogee Software. Wait a second. Are they a distributor? Is that the same Apogee Software I'm thinking of in late 80s, early 90s? It couldn't be the same Apogee Software. No way. And then over here we got even more ads and prices. Take a look at the prices of these games. Also notice the difference in price from applications to video games. We mostly care about the games here on Chronologically Gaming, but you look at the price for VisiCalc and you're like, gosh, $250 in November 1982? No way. Look at that. It's too much. All right, let's get to some games. Over here is an article by Ken Williams. Every time we've seen Ken Williams write an article in Softline up to this point, it's been about helping programmers, learning something new, discovering something, and actually providing lots of code as well. So this is more graphics time, using graphics on the Apple II. You can see there's some poke commands here. Yeah, it's just incredible that there's so much in magazines and books right now that if you wanted to be an engineer or a developer, it was rare. But if you wanted to dip your toes into the field, you had a lot of resources to play around with. And some people, some of the really good developers, they just got a computer and just started messing around with it. Or you started to type in a game from a magazine, and as you're typing in the game, you realize that it has bugs, and you fix it, right? And that's how you would learn. But we are not going to be coding that one. I don't think it had a game. Yeah, it was just messing around with some graphics. Over here, this is an article by Jerry White. Interview with him. Programmers. There he is. I can't tell what game. It looks like he might be playing Star Raiders, but it's really hard to tell. And so this is following up on when he did Muse software with the TRS-80 and then the Atari home computer. So they have a few highlights on some games. I didn't think so, Errol. I had my hopes, but I was pretty sure it was a different Apogee. And we get some ads over here. There's the elephant discs. We see those on the sleeves of 5 1/4 floppy disk. Holiday specials, yeah, because it's November. Holidays coming up. Over here we got another game. This is Pest Patrol that we've already seen on the show. I think around April. Don't quote me on that one. But it's essentially a fixed shooter. Move left and right, blow up the bugs. You look almost like a can of a tube of toothpaste when you're supposed to be a can of bug spray. Oh, right. Oh, yeah. And typing on the different computers. If you had the real keyboard, Manly, you know the feeling. But the Timex Sinclair, it had that membrane keyboard. It was very difficult. All right, flipping on to the next one. Yes. Oh, here we go. Is this by Bill Budge? This is big. This is things to come. So this is the pinball construction set, which we haven't seen yet. They are highlighting it here, the origins of it. And we kind of already saw this. There was a game we saw called Raster Blaster, which was a pinball game that allowed you some optimization, but it was like the beginnings of pinball construction set. And here they must be working on it. I think it's Bill Budge's, right? Yeah, there he is. And it goes through the ideas of what he has. That's going to be huge. It kind of reminds me of when we saw a game called the Arcade Machine, which allowed you to make your own Galaxian-style shooter. You could design your own game. That's what it is. You design your own pinball. There it is. Yes, Santa's got 5 1/4 floppy disks in his sack. I love it. Oh, not even close. Yeah, when I think of modern games and the bugs they have, but there is a lot more lines of code for modern games too. All right, let's flip it on to the next one. Oh, nice. This is by Ken Rose. How to make some good mazes in adventure games. I've said that for most of the adventure games we play, text adventures, that whenever you are playing the game, they were wanting you to design and write the maze down. You draw your own maze so you know where to go as you discover everything. And this is just an article on how to, when you design your own adventure game, what's the best way to make the mazes. And Ken Rose is a good one. He, I think, was around or helping the same team that worked on Zork. Because if you have ever seen the Zork map that the Zork user group has done, it is amazingly detailed. All right, here we go. You got an ad at the bottom left for paddle, Adapple. That's to play more paddles on your Apple II. Yeah, bring it on. And then we got over here, oh yeah, we got a game. What is it? The Labyrinth of the Minotaur. Nice, so a type-in game. At this point, we played over 80 type-in games on the show. Not even close to exhausting all the type-in games that would be possible. And we didn't see the Labyrinth of the Minotaur. If it's really good, tell me and we'll play it. But otherwise, we've snoozed past quite a bit of type-in games. And Palpuck, I don't think so. All right, here we go. Let's go to the next one. More of the code. What is this one? Oh, we've seen this before. It's a fantasy game character generator for all those that are playing Dungeons and Dragons right now. You know who you are. And over here we got an ad for Atari Sound. Yep, same thing. They're giving you lots of help on poking that pokey chip. Oh wait, no, is this Atari? Yeah, the Atari chip. So the Atari 400 and 800. poke the pokey chip and get some good sound out of it. Some of the best sound we've heard is from that computer. We have actually now heard some pretty good music and sounds on the Apple II, but it almost sounds like they're trying to be another computer, because we know the Apple II just mostly lets out wet farts as far as video games go. But we have seen good stuff. There's been pretty good stuff. Let's see, we got Empire Savers Club. Yep, saving on Mount for the game. And then you get lots of sample programs too. I would equate the sample programs to demos. It's like a mini demo scene of November 1982. All right, look at this one. Yes, Don't Kill the Leapers, Lunar Leaper. Oh, nice. Now this one has some of the later level screenshots down at the bottom. Now this is available for both the Apple II and the Atari home computer. And if you need your refresher course, this is Lunar Leaper we first saw it on the Commodore VIC-20. I would say this version is the most impressive looking and playing version of Lunar Leaper. This was done by Chuckles, or Chuck Boucher, and the other ports that we saw, they were good. They worked well for ports for Lunar Leaper. It was just really impressive. Look at this. This is from the Commodore VIC-20. It looks too good. I had the most fun with this one, but if you really want to have a good time, it's basically like a Defender variant, going to rescue different creatures on an alien planet. Lots of fun, though. Yeah, love me some Lunar Leaper. Right now, it's one of the top-tier games you could play on all home computers. Yeah, Paul, I wasn't aware of this one until much later, the Softline one. It was heavily endorsed by Sierra. You can see here, we got another ad for Lunar Leaper that Sierra did. All right, here we go, the cover story. Home arcades, mania or mantra. And this article is just going into what is the benefit of playing all these video games? Are the video games helpful? Are they good for kids? Are they keeping them away from homework and so forth? So it's a study on that, which is really funny. Unless you're a psychologist at the time, I don't think gamers really should say if it's good for kids or not. Like, they're talking about the stress, how microcomputers and video games will help let the stress off, and just having the pleasure to go to another world and play games is good and healthy for you. Yeah, right. Oh man, look, and who's that? Someone's playing. Oh, he's meditating, playing his games. I think, is that I believe it's Minds of Minos that he has on the screen. I'm not sure. I can't tell. Yeah, and they're saying about playing for long amounts of time, which is just amazing, because they bring up the really big games that you're going to be immersed in for a very long time, like Ultima, Wizardry, Castle Wolfenstein, Zork. And yeah, you could play those games for quite a long time. I don't know if it's a cause for concern. Everyone's going to be okay. We all turned out all right, right? Everyone in the chat? Yeah, we're all right. All right, here you go. On the next page, we have a really interesting article. This one is, if you're a few points away from your high score, the last ship blows up. It's hard to take video games seriously. Some city governments take them seriously enough to ban video game machines from the city limits for fear they encourage youngsters to engage in antisocial behavior. That's right. They're saying that Silas Warner's Firebug is a game that is encouraging arson, so they ban Firebug. Because, yeah, the object of Firebug is to burn walls, dropping gasoline cans. It's not incredibly realistic. In fact, if you remember Firebug, it runs on low-res mode, which is kind of rare. We usually see most games on the Apple II on high-res mode, but it's burning a bunch of stuff, and they said, oh, we can't have this game. Firebug's too crazy. Yeah, right? Can you believe that they're banning video games? Well, we've seen banning video games all the way back to the arcades back in the 70s, but it's pretty rare. Yeah, right? Video game banning is just crazy. So here's some ads down at the bottom. We have Word Race. Not going to play it. And then 3 new games. We're not going to hit on every educational title that's out there. Yikes. And then we got the game line. This is what we want to see. We got Frogger. Release of Frogger, and we have seen lots of Frogger official on plenty of home computers. At this point, we've seen it officially on the TRS-80, on the Atari home computer, the Apple II, and so I don't think we saw it on the VIC-20 yet. It hasn't been official on the VIC-20, but this is great. Original Frogger, Sierra Online brings us the first one. It's excellent. Yeah. Oh, right, Errol, it's the same kind of idea, right? Yeah, the very first one I can remember, Pal Puck, was Death Race. The first time anyone wanted to ban a video game. You can't drive those video game cars over people. That's crazy. I think every time we're going to see banning, we're going to refer to the Satanic Panic too, Ubicore. And here's one we just saw. There's Sea Fox. That one's by Ed, I believe. Where is he? Yeah, Ed Hobbs. And that plays fairly well. Gave it a average rating for all the games at the time. It's a new take or a variant on Sea Wolf. Sea Fox. And then they even say, while the graphics of Sea Fox aren't as breathtaking as in Star Blazer, because, similar company, they're nevertheless colorful and enjoyable, and all Sea Fox is quite entertaining. Now, every one of these articles about the games themselves, when they are ranking them, you have to read the whole thing. There is no number system that they use in Softline, so you can't be like, this is a 6 out of 10. They're not doing the chronologically gaming treatment, basically. Oh, it's possible, Parada, yeah. All right, and then we got sound effects system. Nice in the bottom right corner. Flip to the next one. You can see it's lots of reviews about even more games. We got Starcross. That's the newest Infocom one. Sci-fi text adventure. Same level of quality that you get from Infocom. I would still argue Zork is a bigger one, just in my personal opinion, just because the world seems larger to explore. And then over here is an interesting one. Does anyone remember Salmon Run? Did anyone remember when we played that one? Salmon Run was another one of those games that I just couldn't believe that it existed, that someone made it. This is a quick example of what it was like. It's not a shooter, but you are scrolling vertically on the Atari home computers where we played this one. It's just you playing as a salmon and trying to get upstream. Just the funniest concept. You are literally playing as a fish trying to go as far as you can. Arcade style, it's just weird that there's no shooting. It's just stay alive and try to get upstream as far as you can. And you can see here, this mode is going really slow. You can end up scrolling faster. You need to be able to know when to flap your tail and stuff. So just crazy that this kind of a game exists. All right, so after Salmon Run, we got more discounts in the bottom left. And then over here on the right, we got, Galactic Gladiators Strategy. Yeah, that's by SSI. We've seen, I believe, 2 versions or 2 ports of that one. Here on the show, we play every single video game, and that includes all ports and types of games. The only thing that we have to kind of put a limit on is every type of disc or cartridge or medium that it's on, because some games on one system, like the Atari home computer, is released on 3 different mediums. So we don't play every single cart, disc, or cassette tape if they come on all 3, because some systems do. All right, and then we got, down here, is that analog joysticks? Yeah, there we go. Analog joysticks for the Apple II, TRS-80, and IBM. Oh, they bring up IBM personal computers. Nice. Oh, I hope not. No, Paul, I don't think so, because isn't one of the inspirations for the arcade game that's right. Wasn't Dandy done by APX? So I don't think we're gonna keep seeing APX games pretty soon. And Dandy end up being the inspiration for Gauntlet, but that's way in the future. Yeah, that's right. All right, then we got Escape from Rungistan. We have seen this one on the show. Great graphic adventure game. Has lots of animation, graphics. Look great, so I highly recommend this one. This one's a pretty good one. They call it, it's like Kabul Spy, and it's really not. This one has more going for it than Kabul Spy. Rungistan is easy enough for beginners. Puzzles are otherwise challenging enough for the average adventurer. Man, I'm having too much fun reading the magazine. Here's another ad down the bottom for more joysticks, third-party peripherals, and so forth. Here it is. Yes. Frogger. Officially, it's here. We've seen it everywhere. Apple, Atari, TRS-80, official. And it's going to be rolling out to even more than that. It does look like that, Manly. The semi is huge. All right, let's keep going. So this one's part 2. Hey, Brian Fitzgerald. We just saw Brian Fitzgerald. What game were we playing? I'm going to look at my notes. I know we just saw a Brian Fitzgerald game. It wasn't Spider-Man, was it? Yeah, it was Sheila. It's the same. Is it the same Brian Fitzgerald that did Sheila? We just saw that one. So this one is his part 2 of making mazes. And he should know. I mean, we just played Sheila. That one was a cool one. So here's the... Oh, nice. It's explaining how to do 3D mazes. And then the code for it. Awesome. Thanks, Brian. For all those would-be programmers out there. Sweet. And over here in the bottom right, we got Mission Asteroid. Quality software, discount prices. Sure. Oh, and then the giant spread. This is the big one. We've already seen this plenty of times. It's Infocom. Everything up here we have seen. They're all fantastic. It is adventure gaming top tier. In fact, if you want straight text adventure, this one is getting like the same level as some of the Sierra ones. Not to stomp on Sierra's toes. They offer the text adventure games with some graphics and pictures, but this is good stuff. Especially Deadline's awesome too. I already mentioned Zork before. Yeah, Infocom also has all the feelies inside. Everybody remember the cloth maps, the coins, the Ankh, depending on what game you have. And over here is Bill Budge. What is this? By Bill Budge? What are we looking at? I can't tell by the skin. Is this meant to be where we don't know what it is? What are you trying to give us, Bill? I can't tell. All right, and over here is yet again another article about arcade gaming and how people are ripping off or making variants of arcade games. I hit on this whenever we played Scramble on the Pyuta in Japan. How we played the official version of Scramble, and it really didn't hold a candle to all the other rip-off Scrambles that we've already seen so far on the show. Oh, good point, Paul. Totally agree with you. If it's a bad Infocom game, it's still really good. Yeah. Oh, man. An Ultima 4. Yeah, we're going to see that one way later, Errol, but that's a really good one, too. All right, so yeah, this is going over all the different rip-offs, and if it's worth it, if it's, moral, so forth. We've seen plenty of articles that do that. All right, continuing on. Gosh, lots of prices. And over here, I love that they did this. Softline posts high scores. You can put in your high score for computer games. At the very top is Action Quest. It's the one that you are the ghost that's going from room to room. Kind of like Atari's Adventure, not really. I'm with you there, Paul. Yes, Caverns of Mars was a better kind of scramble game. It's so fun. It's scrolling different ways, but it's essentially the same thing. And then you got lots of high scores for different players. Nice. If your name's on here, tell me. That's awesome. All right, let's flip it on to the next one. Even more. There's a lot of games you can play on home computers. It's just great that they are posting here high scores, whatever they've sent on. Oh, and look at the top. Lemmings, don't get excited. It's not the Lemmings you're thinking. That's the Serious Software Lemmings. Completely different. 58,000 is a nice high score. And then I'm a little confused by this article. The Dark Crystal. I'm sure everyone's familiar with the movie, and the movie is out right now by November 1982, I believe. But the game, we're not going to see this game until I think the summer of 1983 is when I have this pegged. Someone can cross-check me on the release of Dark Crystal as a video game, but this is a really early ad. This is going to be done by Sierra Online. You can see right there. It's essentially a text adventure game with a few graphics, but this is a really early ad. We're not even going to see that for a while. And then on the back, oh, definitely, Prisoner 2. We already saw this when we played The Prisoner, him punching through the screen. Love it. Welcome to your breaking point. All right. So there you go. That's what Softline magazine it was like in November 1982. Now, what we usually do is if the magazine is long enough, we we just read the magazine for the whole show. But because we still have some extra time, let's actually play something from the magazine. We haven't done this before on the show. Let's check out Spy's Demise, the first time that we've seen it here on Chronologically Gaming. It was advertised in there, and I don't know if this was released before Pie-Man and before Transylvania, but let's check it out anyway. So here we go. Beginning of November 1982. Spy's Demise. Here's the box. Yeah, isn't it an amazing price for a magazine? So cool. Arcade action by Alan Zeldin. Way to go, Alan. We got Penguin Software again. You flip it over in the back, and they have a giant screenshot of it. The box also looks a little different than the usual games we play. Looks like we're going to be the KGB in Pyongyang on a secret diplomatic mission. So cool. So there's the box. Let's see what other artwork we have for Spy's Demise. This is our 412th game that we played on the Apple II. 412 games. Lots of different types of boxes. There's the 5 1/4 floppy disk. We're going to pop to our Apple II to play. Spy's Demise. If you look at the Penguins, Penguin Software, this is the third game that we've seen by Penguin Software. Pie-Man and Transylvania were the other ones. Every single one on their box, they dress up or do something special with the penguins. Kind of a nice touch. A little homage, if you will. Oh, maybe? We've already seen an elevator style game, but we'll get to that in a second. All right, here we go. There's a manual for Spy's Demise. Tell us how to play. There's 2 ways to play. Keyboard, regular joystick, and Atari-style joystick. How about that? 3 different ways to control. The idea is reach the top of the building. As you cross each floor, you move up a level. Avoid the guards. Occasional flashing secret spy decoder rings are worth bonus points, and the faster you get to every floor, the more points you receive. So it's a score attack, go as fast as you can. It's an arcade-style game for the home computer. This is the very first time we've seen anything that Alan Zeldin has done. Maybe it's the only thing Alan Zeldin has done. If you want to drop me a line, Alan, you can tell me if he did more. After you work your way to the top of the building, the screen clears, you get a secret encoded message. And wait, you may win an official Spy's Demise t-shirt? Sweet. Does anyone have the t-shirt? So after you get the message, you go into more and more difficult games, and the game continues ad nauseum, faster and faster. So it has a puzzle to solve. That's cool. Like hidden in the game. And then we have a disc replacement as usual. Look at another penguin that's here. Very nice. Oh, Ubicore, I love that movie. 1984, I believe. It's a giant ad for the Atari 5200. All right, let's pop in and play some Spy's Demise. Penguin Software in the beginning of November 1982. Nice, look at that. Paddle, keyboard, or Atari. Oh, let's go. Paddles it in. Paddle in. All right, so I'm at the very bottom left of the screen. There's my spy waddling around. You can barely see me, but you have to avoid the other spies, which are just moving on a track. See the other enemy spies? They're just black figures. If you make it to the far end, then you kind of automatically elevator up. I didn't have to do anything. It automatically rose me up. Get some bonus points there as I walk along. And then, yep, get to the other side, and it just automatically raises the elevator. So I'm not actively involved with using the elevator. I'm essentially just moving left and right and dodging the other spies that come across. Let's see if we can keep going. Oh, I want the gun. Can we shoot the gun? I just picked up a 5 1/4 floppy disk. That's cool. Gotta go nice and easy. So it's just about timing. You can see me wibbling a little bit because I'm using a paddle control, but you would have the awesome control of the Atari VCS joystick if you wanted to, which I highly recommend if you're going to play the game. No, I can't believe it. Is that all the lives? Yeah, that's it. It keeps the high score up here. Do we get to put it in? We do. That's amazing. Okay, so I was able to actually put in the wrong letters, but you can actually use the joystick for it. That's cool. All right, so let's go P for paddles again. And die immediately. Right behind my head of our number of lives, we have 6 lives they give us. Very, very generous. So just dodge. That's all it is. Move left and right and dodge. Go, go, go. All right, we're looking all right. I really want to get the gun. This is a platformer, but it's a unique platformer. I mentioned this when we were playing Pitfall, the port on the Intellivision, that this is what we would classify as a fixed platformer. It takes place on one screen, like an arcade platformer, but an arcade platformer like Donkey Kong has you jumping. This is a platformer where you are not jumping. You're just walking around, maybe doing ladders or elevators. It is no action jumping. All I'm doing is walking back and forth. But this one, I don't even have the control to climb the ladders. It is nice that they're saving my position. Notice that every floor that I die on, it just immediately brings me back to the same floor. So I'm not starting way at the bottom every time. So nice. We have checkpoints. I always love those. And yes, this is making me excited for Cloak and Dagger, especially the fake one that was in the movie that never really existed. That was more like an arcade game. There it is, made it to the top. And then move on to the next one, get the camera. Did anyone see any of the clues? Because now we're on the next screen. I didn't see anything. But dodge it all, get to the other side. Elevator brings us automatically up. We're looking pretty good. There we go. So up to this point, this marks the 27th game that we played. That's a fixed platformer. One screen, no jumping. If we can survive, I don't know if we have enough lives for it. Some of the really big or popular fixed platformers we've seen up to this point have been the Panic games, Space Panic or Apple Panic. Those are very, very good fixed platformers. And then another example would be Beer Run, which takes the same formula or an idea of the Panic style games. And then we played in the arcade Naughty Mouse and Super Mouse. Those are other ones where you're just climbing ladders. There is no jumping, but it is from this view. Then we also played Dockman and Portman in the arcade. Well, one of the best ones that we ever played in the arcade was called Monster Bash. I recommend checking that one out if you haven't seen or heard of that one. And then the best of all fixed platformers, in my opinion, is Burger Time. That's the other one that's huge right now. Oh, yes, even though I got the gun, I'm hitting the button. I cannot shoot anything. So this is not a precursor to elevator action. There's a better game we played with elevators on the Atari home computer that felt more like a precursor to elevator action. This one, not so much. There is another game with elevators we played on the Apple II called Bellhop. It was one of the first games that Gary Kitchen had ever done, and Bellhop feels closer, but you still have control over the elevators in Bellhop. That one's another occupation game. You're playing as a bellhop, going from floor to floor. But yeah, it's... this is being used by the Graphics Magician, which is a software program that you use to make high-quality graphics. I would see it used more in adventure-style games, like making the pictures, because at this point, we played games that use the Graphic Magician, like a Dragon's Keep, or Transylvania, which is also by Penguin Software. Oh, go! We dodged it. Nice. Yeah. Easy peasy. I like the fact that we got checkpoints, but I gotta be honest with you, this doesn't feel as much like a fixed platformer. You know what this really feels like? This feels like we're playing a variant of Frogger instead of a platformer, because I have no control over the elevator and I'm essentially just needing to cross the street to the other side. It feels really close to Freeway, the one by David Crane, because I don't have the ability to move my spy up and down, or the other Frogger style games. You know, the ones that take place from left to right, like Chicken on the TRS-80, Frog Trek on the TRS-80 color computer. And then the fact that you have to go back and forth, you know, you're not just going to one side of the screen like Frogger, you go from one side then come back. That makes me think of Preppy, where you pick up the golf balls, or what was the other one we played? Meltdown on the Atari home computer. So I feel, I'm going to call it a fixed platform, but it really feels more like Frogger or Freeway-ish. I'm already seeing some great ratings in the chat. This game does have the spy theme, which I love. We played 22 games that have the spy or espionage theme up to this point. Most of them text adventure games, you know, Mission Impossible or CIA Adventure. And then we also had The Prisoner, Kabul Spy, Infiltrate on the Atari 2600 was the other one I was thinking of that had the elevators. But the big one that has the spy theme is 005 by Sega. That one's a really fun one too. We are going to see this game later in 1983 for the Atari home computer, Commodore 64, and the Texas Instruments home computer. At this point, the very first time we ever saw Spy's Demise on the Apple II, there's not a lot of gameplay considering all the other games out there. I look over and I see some 3 stars, perfectly fine. Yeah, 3 average. Oh, 3.5 replayable. Yeah, you might get in a groove, but I won't be as kind. I'll still say average. 3 stars for all the games you could play on all home computers. Spy's Demise is good, but it's not really good enough to push above or do something more interesting than the other games we've seen up to this point. Still check it out, though. Average is not bad. All right, that's where we got to put our video game playing on pause. Thanks so much for joining me on our crazy quest to play every single video game under the sun across all systems, all platforms, all over the world. Next time on Chronologically Gaming, we have another spy game for home computers in Japan, and the latest video game by Imagic, and more unofficial Star Trek. We can't get enough Star Trek here. That's it for today, and like I always say, these magazines aren't going to go anywhere. So if you want a real retro trip, read a video game magazine. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we missed any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are Perpetually Retro, and we will catch you next time.